The time has finally come. Today is the day of the Rugby World Cup quarter-finals, and this evening we're going to find out if Ireland can defeat the so-called Rugby World Cup quarter-final curse, or whether the All Blacks are going to move on to yet another semi-final and knock Ireland out of a Rugby World Cup quarter-final once more. It's a game I simply cannot wait for. I can't wait to hear the Irish fans in full voice singing Zombie. What a tune that is when the Irish fans sing it. I can't wait to see the All Blacks come firing out of the traps and throw everything but the kitchen sink at Ireland. I think both teams will leave nothing in the tank. By the end of 80 minutes, I reckon both teams will just be completely shattered and will have given absolutely everything, which is all we can ask for as rugby fans. Now in today's video, I'm going to be comparing Garry Ringrose and Reiko Ioane, their statistics from the 2022 season. I think this is an interesting player matchup because it will give us an insight into the two different ways in which these players, unique players and brilliant players, are used within their team system. Just to touch on it, Garry Ringrose is used more in what I call the Irish machine. He plays an instrumental role in the playmaking and the system of their phase play and passes, and can obviously do the other stuff a 13 is required to do. But Reiko Ioane, look, he moved from the wing into outside centre, and I think he plays like that as well. Look, any opportunity, he's going to try and carry that ball and create meters, make a line break, and everything above. So look, both very good players. Reiko Ioane probably more of the attacking player who looks to out and out make meters and score tries, whereas Garry Ringrose for me is more of a system player who can do the flashy bits, but ultimately his main role is to fit within the Irish system and play their game. So yeah, we're going to start off with the first statistic, which is meters per carry. Garry Ringrose is sitting at a respectable 2.9 meters per carry, whereas Reiko Ioane sat at a staggering 5.4 meters per carry. Now, just thinking about the 2022 season, the majority of these meters made from Reiko Ioane is probably from the crossfield kick from Richie Mo'unga against England, where Ioane just went, what was it, 60, 70 metres to score. Not a good day remembering that one, but yeah, it just shows how I've mentioned Ringrose is a systems player. He makes his meters, but look, Garry Ringrose could make far more meters if he potentially was more selfish and looked to try and create the line breaks as opposed to what he usually does. If the opportunity's on, he'll go for it, but he'll also look to put other players into space, as we previously saw in the Scotland game, in the last game in the group stages. And then yeah, Reiko Ioane, he looks to make meters wherever possible. If there's a half a gap, he'll definitely go for it, and most of the times he does make it. Looking at the second statistic, carries per game, this shows both players do get involved quite a bit. 8 carries per game for Garry Ringrose and then 6.1 for Reiko Ioane. Garry Ringrose, he loves to carry the ball, and look, he can often find an edge really nicely. He knows when to commit the player and pass, but he also knows when he can sniff a line break is on, and he'll definitely go for that gap and make good meters in doing so. Reiko Ioane at 6.1 carries per game, he gets involved probably less frequently than Garry Ringrose, but when he does, he definitely makes an impact. He can really break a tackle and is very difficult to defend. And Garry Ringrose defensively will have to be right on his toes to stop Ioane from making those breaks, because as soon as Reiko Ioane makes a break, he is gone. See you later, and he's under the posts. The third statistic, tackle success. Now this really surprised me. Garry Ringrose only sat at 79% tackle completion, and Reiko Ioane at a really high score of 95%. Now look, I think these tackle success statistics for backs are far less accurate and important as they are for forwards. Look, you would never know what the scenario in which Garry Ringrose missed the tackles was in. Look, as a 13, you can often be asked to cover so much ground and sort of dive for a tackle which you never really were going to make, but just try to sort of tap a boot or something. And if that goes down as a missed tackle, then that reflects poorly upon you, yet you were never really expected to make the tackle. So look, it's difficult to know the scenarios in which the missed tackles were made, but Reiko Ioane at 95% tackle completion is very impressive. Look, if there was to be a line break or an intercept from Ireland, he's the player in which you'd look to try and chase them down. He's got unreal pace, and yeah, I'd love to see a foot race between some of the Irish outside backs and the All Blacks. It would be a good watch. Tackles per game, both these two players are making roughly the same amount of tackles per game in 6, which is a decent number of tackles. It's nothing huge, and it's not really low. They make a decent few tackles, and look, looking at the statistics, it means that Garry Ringrose has attempted more tackles, but they've only actually got the same number of completed tackles. But nonetheless, both these players can really defend, and it's often alluded to number 13, the outside centre jersey, being one of the hardest positions to defend. You're the last player really if the winger's dropped off, on the edge, and you've got to make that decision. Do you shoot out and target the ball carrier, or do you simply drift and let the ball go to the outside and then try and push them and usher them towards the touchline? A real difficult debate which the number 13s have to make week in, week out in their test matches. And ultimately this game could really come down to one of those calls. Do they get it right? Do they get it wrong? We'll find out later on. But yeah, they've got some very important decisions to be made. In terms of kicks per game, neither of these outside centres like to kick at all really. In 2022 it says Reiko and Ioane didn't kick the ball in open play, which is a staggering statistic. Number 13s often like to put the ball on the toe and just stick it, a little grubber kick in to sort of turn the defence and get on the front foot again. But look, Reiko and Ioane obviously backs his agility, his pace and ability to beat defenders, to get around them, as opposed to putting boot to ball. I do think it's good for a player to have it in their locker. Garry Ringrose is showing he's obviously not kicking an awful lot with 0.6, but he's still got the ability to do that. And if it's necessary, or if there's no fallback at home or anything like that, he's got the vision and ability to execute it. Look, Reiko and Ioane is exceptional in what he does, but I would say it'd be good to see him. I'd be able to identify this as a skill that he could develop. I suppose for the Blues in Super Rugby, maybe he does do it, but at the international stage, it'd be potentially a good thing for him to have a look at. Tries per game. Look, I thought these numbers would be a little bit higher, but Garry Ringrose is sat at 0.3 tries per game in the 2022 season, and then Reiko and Ioane at 0.1. Look, that's surprising me. I don't know if they're totally accurate, to be honest, because I thought these players scored a few more tries than that. But yeah, they both like to find their way to the try line. Garry Ringrose in this World Cup has scored a good couple tries. Reiko and Ioane is deadly as ever and can score so easily. He looks so effortless at top speed and is a real danger. Moving into defenders beaten per game, both of them averaging more than a defender beaten per game, which is slightly more accurate. And look, I wasn't necessarily surprised to see that, because these two have really good feet. Reiko and Ioane probably beats defenders via using his pace and potentially his handoff. Garry Ringrose has got some really good feet. He loves to cut inside. If he's getting ushered towards the touchline, that's a dangerous move, because he loves to come off of his right foot, as we saw from the crossfield kick, I think it was. I can't remember which game that was. I think it was Ireland, England in the Six Nations. He loves to come off of his right foot and cut inside, and yeah, brilliant stuff from him. And then passes per game, this alludes to what I was saying earlier. Garry Ringrose fits more into the system of Ireland and adopts a slightly more playmaker role at 5.7 passes per game, with Reiko and Ioane sat at 4.2. Look, Reiko and Ioane is often used, for example, off of a ruck or first phase, to literally just punch up and make some meters. If you imagine the scenario, the line out play has gone well, they've shot up into midfield, they've lost a little bit of momentum in attack. Reiko and Ioane is the outside back that'll put his hand up and go, I want the ball, and he'll just work down the short side, potentially a little dummy to the outside, and will just make those meters very effectively. So yeah, that explains why Garry Ringrose has got a couple more passes per game. And then assists per game, this is an interesting statistic, because although Garry Ringrose makes the more passes per game, he actually secures less assists per game. So Reiko and Ioane, it shows that almost a quarter of his passes result in a try, which is a crazy statistic. And yeah, both of these players are often in very good attacking positions and have the option to either go themselves or then look to pass that ball and put one of their players in on the outside. Look, I suppose a winger never likes a number 13 sort of giving the show and going themselves. If they do, they have to score, otherwise they're getting some fines and some punishments after the game from their teammates. And yeah, so yeah, both of these players know their way to the try line, but also know how to set up and assist other players. I think they can be instrumental in this game, especially for the execution of good attacking positions. You can't afford to let these chances go to floor or just simply be missed in such a tight game in which every point is so crucial. They have to execute well, and defensively they have to be hot on their heels. They have to make the right choices, whether to jam in or to relax and trust the drift defence. So look, it'll be interesting to see how both of these players get on. They've been exceptional in the tournament so far. Reiko and Ioane is a dangerous player, and Garry Ringrose is simply purely class. So look, let me know what your thoughts are on the statistics. Let me know what your thoughts are on these players and their role in this test match. I personally cannot wait. I want to wish all the Irish fans out there and the All Blacks fans the best of luck in this game. Careers are going to be defined tonight, and an awful lot's on the line. And if you're attending the game, lucky you, best of luck, hope you enjoy it. If you're Irish, keep singing Zombie. I want to be able to hear it through my speakers on the telly, as I'm sure I will be able to. But yeah, best of luck, and yeah, thank you very much for watching.